Hello and welcome back to the KCC channel. I'm Rob and I hope you are having a wonderful day today. Today I have 3 stories for you, one with an epic update from the MaliciousCompliance subreddit. Let's jump right in. This story comes to us from FrostDragon57. I'm not authorized to go get water? Alright. Now, before I start, here's a bit of context for this situation. I work in the boat industry as an engine tech and parts painter. I know, quite a broad range right there. Anyway, the company I work for is quite old and the building I work in is even older. The heating system is trash and we really lack anything in the way of air conditioning. And it's boiling outside right now. Earlier today, I had started overheating really quickly as the temperature rose in the building. I have a medical condition where my body can't regulate temperature well, meaning I am at risk of passing out. I was going to go get a bottle of water from the fridge to help me cool down when I was stopped by one of the company's managers. Let's call him Kyle for this story. "Where are you going?" "I was only going to get some water." "You're supposed to be working right now. You can get the water during the coffee break." I don't think you understand that I can actually be in danger from this heat right now, so could I please go get one bottle of water? "No, you're not authorized to leave your work before the clock strikes. Now shut up and get back to work." Roger that. Keep in mind that this conversation was held in front of my coworkers. Cue malicious compliance. I got back to work, making sure to put on some extra coal just to make sure I made up for lost time. Basically, I was forcing my body into shock, and heat stroke was just around the corner. Fast forward around 30 minutes, I had to tell my coworkers through my strained breath that I don't feel too good, which was actually even worse now, as I was working on deck of one of these boats, give or take 3 meters above the floor. When I made my way towards the ladder to climb down, I only got out a very strained "oh crap" as I fell off the back and was headed straight for the concrete floor below me. Lucky for me, some coworkers reacted fast enough and managed to catch me before my head was split open on the floor. I woke up in an ambulance around an hour later. The EMTs were checking my vitals and were actually helping me. My boss came up to the door and asked me what happened. I told him exactly as I told you guys, and I also told him to check with my coworkers if he didn't believe me. Long story boring, I was brought to the hospital for a checkup just to make sure I actually didn't suffer any kind of trauma from the fall. A buddy of mine came with me to make sure I got there and back safe. A few hours passed and my buddy got a call. He picked it up and it was Kyle. My buddy handed me the phone and I heard Kyle on the other end apologizing for actually almost getting me killed. The short version is that he was heavily reprimanded for what he told me and was put on watch. Didn't lose his position though, so I guess I didn't fully win, but he was liable for the medical compensation for my situation. I did forgive him, and just to rub it in a bit, I just had to ask him, "Am I authorized to get water next time?" And my buddy just laughed. OP added an edit at the bottom of this one. It says, "Edit, I already got OSHA on the line and they're launching an investigation into this, so if nothing else, I just made Kyle's week even more horrible." Also, for those who wondered, Kyle is pretty new and is basically a bit of a brick. Can I call him that? Whatever. He's round around the edges and generally doesn't believe people when it comes to their personal health. He's got that kind of, if you can talk, then you can work mentality. So in a way, he kinda deserved this. OSHA will have a field day with his actions. Jumping down to the comment section on this one, there's one from a user called TJamesV. It says, "Your answer should have been, I don't need authorization. Denying an employee the right to drink water is illegal and dangerous." I guess with Kyle being new, he didn't know that that's actually an OSHA requirement that employees have access to water and time to drink the water. I'm guessing that OP was pretty young when this happened because I don't think somebody who was older would make the same decision that OP did. You only get one life, and if OP had fallen off of the back of that boat the wrong way, cracked their neck or their back, their life would have been changed forever. So when the initial confrontation with Kyle happened, OP should have just said, yeah, I'm gonna go get that water, and if you need to write me up, by all means, write me up. I will talk to the labor board. There really is no point just trying to make a point when it could cause irreparable damage to your body. Well, wouldn't you know it, the OP from the previous story did post an update. It says, update, I'm not allowed to get water? Okay. First of all, hello again, I'm the idiot that almost died to prove a point. Before I continue, to all of you who were concerned about my safety and health, thank you. I never realized how many would care. I'd also like to apologize for literally putting my own life in danger to prove a point. It was stupid. My family, the nurses, my girlfriend, and many of you made me realize just how stupid I was, and I will be more careful in the future. I am now out of the hospital after being completely stabilized, and I don't have any major trauma from this ordeal, so don't worry. Anyway, for those of you not in the loop, check my profile for the previous post. For those of you who already know, let's get into this. A lot of things happened so far. My aunt, the main nurse assigned to me, and the nurses I knew personally all cussed me out for what I did, and told me to make sure I better get health and safety to invade my job for this. My aunt put me in contact with a representative, and I had a lengthy chat with said representative. This got the ball rolling for investigations to start. What I didn't expect was that even police had to get involved. I was released from the hospital after a day and was told that I could work, but I was entitled to 10-minute breaks every hour if the temperature rose above 25 degrees Celsius indoors, which basically is every hour of the day. Anyway, I clocked in today and was immediately approached by some man and woman in high-vis and hard hats. The woman introduced herself as the representative I had spoken to on the phone, and she basically asked me to backtrack and explain in detail what happened. I did, and she wrote everything down and let me be on my way, after reminding me to abuse my medical papers as much as I felt like. Dunno why. She just said that and walked away. Didn't hear much more after that. The entire company was called into a large meeting about personal safety, and it was quickly established that I was the cause of said safety meeting. Whoops. Anyway, we were informed that Kyle, the Dillweed manager, had been demoted to a normal worker, and that we would be entitled to 5-minute breaks every hour due to the heat. Nice. He also said that, due to the heat, the company would be purchasing drink coolers, fans, and would be compensating any worker that had to go home due to illness prompted by the heat. This part, though, shocked me. Frost is not allowed in any engine bay until winter due to temperatures in there being close to a sauna. We don't need him to almost die twice to understand his condition is severe. Basically, anywhere the heat rises above 30 degrees Celsius, I am not allowed in for my own safety. That's as far as this situation has come. Once again, to those who were worried about me, thank you. And I'm sorry for making you worry about someone like me. Thank you for your time. Jumping down to the comment section on this one, there's one from a user called Double Breasted Burb. It says, former EHS here, used to oversee foundries. We do not F around with heat. Powerade and water stations everywhere. I even bought a handful of freezers and would dump ices and ice cream bars in them all the time. Every worker we had knew they could opt to go take some time anytime they needed it. When you have a facility pushing 110 plus inside, even with all the swamp fans on high, you need it. OP, don't do that again. I think it's pretty fair to say that OP learned their lesson here. This was a great update and basically confirmed that OP's not going to be that dumb again. Well, I hope not anyway. I don't think that Kyle really got what he deserved though. I think he should have been fired because he basically caused a workplace accident that resulted in the injury of an employee. Yeah, get your stuff and there's the door. Bye-bye. This story comes to us from Dramatic But Aware. You want to know where I am at all times? Your wish is my command. I've been lurking on this sub for a hot minute, and I saw a post that reminded me of my own malicious compliance story. This happened about 8 years ago, 1 year into just my first job, paid internship, clerking gig, I don't know what to call it. The firm that I worked for had a part-time program for law students so they could work and gain experience while in school. Very common in my country. I loved my job. I was very grateful for the opportunity to learn and grow, and I really enjoyed the work I performed. The thing was, I had classes both in the morning and the afternoon night, and my school was at a different side of the city, about 8 miles away, that could turn into hours of traffic during rush hour in a city with 8 million inhabitants. So my days looked pretty hectic, as something like this. 5:30 to 7, get ready and drive to school. 7 to 9, class. 9 to 10-ish, drive to work. 10-ish to 1700, work. 1700 to 1800, drive to school. 1800 to 2200, classes. Then I would try to study for 1 hour after class, and I would often eat while driving. During my first year in the program, I had more than proved myself and earned my place. I was that 19, 20-year-old idiot, type A overachiever that knew no boundaries. I had worked weekends, pulled all-nighters. Literally, I would leave school at 10 effing p.m. and go back to work. Worked full-time in the summers without more pay. Anything I had to do to keep the associates happy so they'd keep teaching me. As I was wrapping my first anniversary there, the perfect storm of awful rolled around. On the academic front, I started a new semester, and twice a week in the mornings, I had a teacher who was awesome, but would finish class 20 to 30 minutes late. On the work front, a new partner joined the firm, let's call him Mr. Butthole, and kind of took over as unofficial managing partner. He was the typical old-fashioned lawyer that should be extinct by now. He could barely use Microsoft Word to type a contract, and would pass out at the sight of an Excel sheet. He had this weird obsession with punctuality while simultaneously being late to everything. Plus, he moronically believed that by having a bunch of people warming up chairs, he would magically make money. So instead of investing time on client development, he would just spend endless time and effort on bullying everyone around the office. To make matters worse, since other people spoke highly of me, he decided to pay special attention to me. Unsurprisingly, shortly after Butthole joined, the firm started struggling. Now, he could have tried to get new clients, send quotes by the deadline, and show up to meetings on time, but no, of course, the firm was doing poorly because us clerks did not spend enough time warming up the chairs. So he became obsessed with us getting there by 10 a.m., especially me. The issue was that I could not get there by 10 because my teacher finished class late, and there was no way I could drive across the city in rush hour in 30 minutes. So Butthole called a meeting with all the clerks and yelled at me in front of everyone because I was always late. More like 2 times a week, but whatever. The fact that I had gotten permission from the program committee did not matter. The fact that I was working 6 or 7 hours every day while I only had to work 5 did not matter. The fact that I would work weekends and late nights did not matter. I tried to explain, but he kept yelling at me and would not let me talk. Having had enough, I left the conference room straight into the office of every member of the clerk program committee, 1 junior associate, 1 senior associate, and 1 partner, to say the same speech. I am late because I have class. I have proven my commitment to the firm, but my education is important too. If 30 minutes late twice a week is too big of an issue, feel free to fire me, but I am not leaving class early. Then went to my desk to do my work. I guess the committee informed other partners and word got around of what was going on, small firm, because as I was getting ready to leave for school, Butthole came fuming to my desk and told me, "I know that you are lying. From now on, I want to know where you are at all times. And if I catch that you were slacking off or lying, you are fired, and I will make sure no one will ever hire you." So, cue malicious compliance. The next day, I woke up extra early, 5 a.m. sharp, took a timestamp photo, and sent it to both his email and phone, since I could not risk him not getting it, and him not knowing where I was. I sent a timestamp photo every 5 minutes, captioning what I was doing like it was my own personal social media platform of 1 follower. The cherry on top was that my teacher had worked with Butthole in the past, and obviously did not like him very much, so he let me take photos during the class and diligently send them to Butthole. I even went as far as taking a photo of the toilet door with the text peeing and then at the toilet flushing, all done. While driving, since traffic was really slow, I would send a photo and include how much I had moved during that time. Sometimes it was something absurd like 100 feet. As soon as I sent a photo of me at my desk, he shows up saying that he got the point and I could stop. A couple weeks later, he simply stopped bugging people and started working from home or locking himself up in his office. My guess is I was not the only one to complain, and the other partner realized how dangerous he could be for the firm and asked him to back off. Jumping down to the comment section on this one, there's one from a user called Kinsfire. It says, "I have to admit that I'd have asked, can I have it in writing that I can stop telling you where I am? I don't want this coming back to bite me later." And I loved how the firm went, "He's dangerous, we'll ask him to back off," rather than, "He's dangerous, we need to fire him." Means that they actually support his idiocy, but realized that you might be able to build a lawsuit against them and Butthole if he kept it up. I find the end of this story and that comment very interesting because he was just asked to back off. He wasn't fired, just asked to back off. I'm guessing that he has some worth to the company. Either he's directly connected to somebody who helps the company, be it politically or in the legal world, or he's got something on the other partner, which is definitely a possibility. This story comes to us from NoLanguage7256, How I Managed My First Micromanager. Back in 2010, I was working in a training management area within a government department. The job was fairly easy for me. When my original supervisor went on extended leave, I got a new supervisor that we will call Agatha. Almost immediately, Agatha started to micromanage me, even though she didn't really know my job that well, or even half of what my role entailed. Now, I will say that I didn't particularly like Agatha as a person, but I tried to get along with her, even when her management style started to show. In hindsight, I should have worked some internal politics to be removed from the area, but hey, no one said I was smart at 19. The section started to have some underlying tension, until one day she called me into a meeting and, long convo cut short, she said the magic words, "You need to do what I tell you to do, and not what you think you need to do." She even followed it up by emailing me words to the same effect. Now, I did 2 things on the heels of that meeting. Firstly, I printed out the email to keep in my bag, drawer, pocket, and on my wall. Secondly, I started to do what she said, and only what she said. At first, she would just tell me the jobs that needed completing, but she only got worse when she noticed the work wasn't getting done and started to tell me how to do things. Again, I complied and only did exactly what she told me and how she told me to do it. If she missed a step in her instructions, I would either skip it if I could move on, or ask her to explain again as I couldn't figure it out. I was a darn good employee. I even went out of my way to start asking her what I should be doing and how, after every task. If she wasn't in the area, which was very common, I would just wait for her to come back. If she wanted to micromanage me, I would make her work for it. She was getting nothing done. We were getting further and further behind. This went on for about a month. The reputation of our section was tanking internally and externally. Enter Michelle, Agatha's boss. She noticed all my questions and the general drop in productivity, morale, and reputation. She pulled me aside and asked me what was happening, considering I am normally so competent and efficient, and don't ask many questions about how to do the work. Small aside, Michelle was a fantastic boss and generally preferred a more hands-off approach when she could. She clearly was giving Agatha enough rope to either make a ladder or something else. Okay, back to the story. I explained to Michelle how Agatha was managing me and I was just trying to help her management style by leaning into it. I also showed her Agatha's email. At this point, I estimated I could get everything caught up in about a week without working any extended hours if things changed. Michelle, being a good boss, simply asked what it would take for me to go back to working the way I always have. I only asked to not be managed by Agatha anymore. I could have been much more insidious with my request, but I only wanted to be left alone to do my work. To my surprise, it worked. I immediately started reporting directly to Michelle. I got the work caught up in 3 days, surpassing even my own expectations. As for Agatha, she started to have her work examined a lot more closely, including her overall output since, I found out later, she was trying to blame me for her low work output. It turned out that I was in fact the solution. Michelle ended up sharing Agatha's workload between the two of us, and we didn't really notice much difference. Agatha, however, did notice a difference, as she was shuffled into another area of the department. One with a lot less responsibility, and a whole heck of a lot less promotion opportunity. I ran into Agatha again after I had moved around the country a few times. I ended up back in the same office, but a different section. Agatha was still in the same crappy position, same level too. Her personal reputation was so bad that only a handful of people would actually work with her. It felt good to know how stuck she was, and presumably still is. Jumping down to the comment section on this one, there's one from a user called Yankee Walrus. It says, "The ingenuity of some people impresses me. Michelle gave Agatha some rope, and Agatha somehow used it to make a shovel and dig herself into a hole." See, the problem here is that people like Agatha are going to keep on digging that hole, thinking that they might come out the other side at some point. But that's just not going to happen because we all know you can keep digging down as far as you want, you're not gonna get anywhere. Yeah, micromanaging bosses really suck, and the bosses that are the big fish in the little pond, they suck as well. And I think there's nothing more fitting to put in here than "screw you, Rick." And those of you who have been listening for a long time, you'll know why. Check out all 3 OPs linked in the description down below. I thank you for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day, and we'll see you tomorrow.